Sup, Chaos N72 here for a Chaos Toy Review. Today we'll be taking a look at AbarenOh, another version. So, AbarenOh is the main mecha from Bakuryu Sentai AbarenOh, also known as Power Rangers, I was about to say Dino Charge, Power Rangers Dino Thunder, where it is the main Megazord for the Dino Thunder Rangers. This version is green. Why is it green? Well, in both Sentai and Power Rangers, these Zords, while on a rampage, were green. In the Sentai, I haven't really watched the Sentai, so I don't know why they were green there. In Power Rangers, they were just out of control and they didn't have a master yet, or a ranger associated to them that controlled them, and they weren't sentient in Power Rangers. Whereas in Sentai, they were sentient beings. They could speak to their rangers, similar to... I don't think we've had sentient Zords in Power Rangers. Anyway, so we'll go into the various components and then we'll do the combined mode. So here we have the Triceratops, the least posable of the three. And I did get this off eBay, so that's why he's missing a tail, but everything else is complete and he's got a few dings. So he can move his legs for transformation, he can open his mouth, and he can move his horns. Besides that, that's all he does. So then we have the Pterodactyl, or Pteranodon, who can do some funky dance moves and bob his head, move his arms a little bit, and full 360 ratchet. Got slight posability in the legs, but so you could have him doing a sort of flying pose if you wanted to. But it looks best kind of standing like that. So then we have the big guy himself. And if you're thinking, oh, so 3 parts kind of reminds me of a couple of other Zords. Yeah. He is one of those, this is one of those sets where it's 3 Zords and one of them makes the bulk. Very similar to Cure Eugen. And the Ninja Storm Megazord also does that, where one Zord forms most of the body and then it's pretty much arm swapping. So he is the biggest and the most posable, and he does have a motorized feature. I don't have batteries in him. All it does is make this spin forward and back, and it with what's in the box. So he has a jaw that can open. He has little tiny arms and movable hands. Now technically his tail is posable, but you may pop a joint or two or some of these guards. And he has fully posable legs. So you can get a number of poses. You can, so if you wanted, you can kind of have him about to chow down on some food. Is maybe a better pose, something like this, if you wanted, but yeah, he is the most posable. So let's get into the combined mode. We will start with the Triceratops. So put his legs in. This joint's a little tight, but besides that, that's done. And I should mention that the arm ports are the same size that are on Gokaio, although you will not be able to put this piece on Gokaio because of the clashing gimmicks, which we will get into in a minute. So for the Pteranodon, fold up the arm, it's part of the wings, take off that butt. Sorry, you have the legs something like, wow, forgot how his butt goes on. There we go. So you have his legs something like this, just turn them, and you will feel them slightly notch into place. If not, it won't properly attach to the head. And for him, just do that and put his head down like that. Then you take big old Tyrannosaurus, extend his legs till they're straight, and make sure his feet are also straight. And disconnect this, and then fold his ittle bitty arms. Straighten out his legs a bit more, and then straighten them out some more so they end up like this. And he kind of looks like this. Unpeg these slightly, well, all the way, and they are on a small little hinge. Open these flaps up a bit and peg it in. You'll hear a nice loud snap. Do it for both sides. Sorry, I gotta move the camera constantly. Close his mouth. Turn him around. Just push him back a bit. Don't mind the metals up there. You can take this off, but just one way is to completely lift his head up. And then, because it is on a little runner here, and then once you have it in front of him, push it back, and it'll stay securely in place. Put his arm down, attach the Triceratops, grab him, and there is a little clip in here, and there is the slot there. Kind of feed it. There's a little gap in the T-Rex head for this, so just kind of slide him in there. Or do I need to take the head out first? Alright, we'll do the head first. So open that little panel on the head, and there is a piece you grab here. Close this. Push this down and it'll click into place. Now that there is clearance, you peg him in, and there's these two little indents on each side of the Tyrannosaurus head, and there are two little slots in there. So just pop them in there, and then finally put on the head. So here we have AbarenOh, another version. Let's push him back a bit. Move this. So here we have AbarenOh. Now, the Triceratops tail is supposed to go up there, but mine doesn't come with the tail. Although any Triceratops tail from this mold will work. So a couple of things. Technically, for the most part, he has typical Sentai mecha with just 360 arms, and that's pretty much his posability. Except on this case, because of the way his legs, and he does have rotating legs. Not really sure why, but they're there, and you do have some in and out here, so you can do all sorts of poses with this. And the motor still works. It'll just spin this freely, but like I said, I don't have batteries, but the motor does work. So what you can do to get a little bit more posability out of him is to disconnect these a bit, well, just completely, and then you still have access to all those points of articulation. So there is that. So he can be a very posable mecha if you kind of fiddle with him a bit. So I have one gripe about this. Is the head. It's a little too small, and it's very hard because there is a huge sort of, there it is. There is a huge space between where his head will be and the visor and the top of the helmet piece. His face gets very sunken in, and it's very hard to see unless you're looking at him from about eye level or under. So that's really my only gripe. I mean, his his proportions could be a little bit sleeker, but it's a Sentai toy and it has to do quite a bit. So I can understand why it doesn't. Let me just make sure his... Alright. So he has a different mode of sorts, where it was seen once in Dino Thunder and I believe once in the Sentai, where the Pterodon is not on here at all. And instead, they take off. Now, here's where the only problem with the Triceratops tail would become handy for me, but it's something since it appeared so little in the show, it's not a feature I miss, is that you could attach it onto here, which would give him a sort of sword weapon with a handle, which you would hold in this hand, and then have this as a shield in the other. But to put it as a shield, just pull that little tab out, and I put it on the Triceratops hand for two reasons. One, it just looks a little bit better because I can't do the tail mode or the sword weapon, and second is, I'm not sure if it's something on all of them, but there is nothing locking this arm in this position or locking it at a certain angle. So any kind of weight and it'll just turn. So that's why I don't do that. That's why it wasn't a big thing for me, because I figured he's old, he's not going to be able to even hold the weapon anyway. So then you could, in theory, just kind of have him off to the side posing. But, yeah, it only happened once in Dino Thunder, and not sure how often it happened in AbarenOh. So this is typically how I have him posed, is with a sword, sort of a lance and shield combo. But yeah, that is AbarenOh. Very solid mecha. Depending on how you prefer him, this is not a required piece by any means. Neither is this, the shield, and by extension maybe this, but this is kind of a vital feature to a mode. And to that degree, so is the shield. But I'm saying if you're just going to keep it in the robot mode, there's a couple of pieces here that can kind of go without. But there are a few versions of AbarenOh / Dino Thunder Megazord, which I think is the Thundersaurus Megazord. There is the normal version, which features the red Tyrannosaur, the blue Triceratops, and the yellow Pterodactyl. This is in both Sentai and Power Rangers. I'm not sure what the exact differences are. This one doesn't have chrome like the normal release. And then there is a American and Japan. There is a version of this Zord called the Blizzard Force Megazord that came out in America that has a much richer green for the Pterodactyl, a white. Actually, hold on. I can tell you right now. Yeah, a white Triceratops and a blue T-Rex, which is the American version. In the Japanese version, and also there is a couple of remolds in there, the T-Rex head is a little bit differently molded. The teeth are a little bit different. I think, yeah, the Triceratops head is very different, and the color scheme is completely different in the American version. And in the Japanese version, it looks like the Blizzard Force to a degree. It also has a different helmet, and the pterodactyl butt doesn't fit on as a helmet. So you can attach the pterodactyl to that one, as with any of them, but you cannot attach the helmet. And then there is the Japanese version, which has a very icy color, and it doesn't have a pterodactyl because there is huge frills on the Tyrannosaurus head. It happens in both versions, but the pterodactyl is attachable, but it doesn't come with one in the box because in the movie, it didn't have a pterodactyl. But that is a version that you could look into if you like the better color scheme. And because you can swap out parts, you could, in theory, have a much more color cohesive AbarenOh with maybe the red chest, the blue arms, and stuff like that. So you could have a much more cohesive coloring. And for those of you who do not know the arm gimmick, it's similar to Wild Force, where you can swap out the arms and have a completely different weapon. There were 4 arm dinos, the Cephalozord, the Ankylosaur, the Parazord, whatever it's called, and then there was the Dimetrozon Zord, which was a giant saw blade. They do work with these, I imagine. And there is Killer O, which kind of combines, but that's a different thing that I don't have at the moment. So, thank you guys. If you are a big fan of AbaRanger or Dino Thunder, he is a very easy pickup. I see him going for typically $80 to $100, depending on the version. He tends to be on the cheaper side, probably because of the green color scheme, but I personally don't mind it because it is a very cohesive coloring. The Dino Thunder version, it has a mostly red body with yellow accents and then a completely blue arm. It's not a cohesive coloring, and if you're one of those people who like the kind of cohesiveness to their Zords, he is a very solid, very easy pick to just grab because he tends to run a little bit cheaper because he's not the main version. So, thank you guys for watching, and I will catch you guys on the next review. But in the comments below, let me know. The question of the video will be, do you prefer cohesive color Megazords or Megazords that have a bit of color thrown in, not crazy, but like Kyoryugen where he has different colors in his arms? I like it here and there, but I do like main cohesiveness. Maybe the arms changing colors. That's just me. So, thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Goodbye!